want to go to a very important concept here. And the concept is the concept of types. Okay. So let's spend a few minutes on this types concept. It's a concept, it's not a lot of information. So let's just take a moment here. Just like functions are very important, I cannot stress, and I'm a big fan of types, right? And types are a central idea in programming. It's a mathematical idea, so not many people appreciate it, but we'll talk about it right now, right? So everything within a program has a type. Okay, that's just a statement. It's a very awesome statement, right? That everything has to have a type. But what is a type? So type, at least my definition of type is, it represents a collection of values. And for those who have learned a little mathematics, we used to have this notion of sets. And really, more precise definition of type can be made through set theory. But for now, it's just a collection of values. So let me give an example. I can talk about integers. Now, you can see immediately where the set is, because I can make a set of integers. How large is this set of integers? Does it have finite number of elements or infinite number of elements? Somebody want to put it in chat? The set of integers, is it finite? Yeah, it's infinite, right? It's very interesting for you to think about this. How will you prove that it's infinite? We all tell each other it's infinite, but suppose I say, I don't believe you, show me that it's infinite. What are you going to do? Let's not solve it now, just think about it, okay? But now let's go back to sets. So, but what is the thing about integers that we say they belong to a set? The idea is that every element of this set has some properties they share with each other, right? For example, I can make a set of people. And when I talk about the set of people, the reason they are in that set is because they have common properties. So if I take an animal like a dog and put it in the set of people, it doesn't fit because dog has different properties than a person, right? So this is the general idea, right? That whenever we define a type, we're talking about a collection of values. Each value is an instance of a type. And these values not only have some common properties, they also can have common behavior, right? So people can talk, right? A dog can bark. So they have common properties, right? And common behavior. So that's the basic idea of types. Very powerful idea, that if we recognize and understand the types in our program, and we have a type that does what we want, then we just call its properties and our program is done. Again, it's a very profound statement I'm making, right? For example, think about how the automobile industry solves the problem of transportation. They create a type called a car, and it has all the properties and behavior that we need from a car, and they're done. They just sell it to you and they go home, right? So the same thing with our software is, if we can create a type that has all the properties and behavior that our customers need, or I need for my own use, then I'm done with my program, right? So that's the idea of types. So it's very powerful, but we're not going to use this powerful idea right now. Right now, we're just going to use basic types. So what's the idea with basic types is, Python already created some types for us, because just to start programming, we need something to work with. So the basic types are the tools that are given to us to start writing our Python code, right? Something to work with. So what are the basic types that are given to us? We are given integers, which we have already been using. And, it has, I and T is how Python recognizes it. I'll just talk about the types and we'll write some code. Then we have floating point numbers. So you saw this float earlier. So floating point numbers are numbers that have decimals on it, okay? Like 2.1 or 3.1. And then we have another very, very important type, the Boolean. Boolean types were created by George Boole. We'll talk about Boolean types next time in more detail when we do the if statements, etc. But basically, a Boolean type is a very interesting set. Unlike the integers with an infinite set of values, this set has only two values, either true or false, okay? So three basic types for us right now: integers, floating point, and bool. So we don't have to memorize anything here. What is important is how will we use them, right? So the first thing is, if you don't know the type of anything, we can always ask Python. And I want you guys to develop the skill of asking Python, what is the type of something? So for example, here there's a function called type, T-Y-P-E, with parentheses. So if I pass the value in to the type function and then print it out, so let me just run this code. You will see it prints out class int. That's the first line that gets printed out, right? And in the second line, I can print out the value. The value is 3, but the type is integer. I want to say that again one more time. Whenever I have a value, the value is, in this example, the value is 3, but the class is integer. So of course I could have changed this value to 5, right? And if I ran it, then the value is 5, but the class is still integer, right? And you can find the type of anything by using the type command. Okay. And that's it, right? So, but let me just, so how do I create? So whenever you have a type, you have to ask, how do I create it? For integer, you just type it, and because it's a basic type, Python recognizes that's an integer. Now there's a float here. So 3.0 is a float, and you can calculate, you can ask for the type of this floating point number. But Python recognizes it's a float because there's a 0.0 there automatically. You don't have to tell anything more. And the last one is the Boolean. And the Boolean is created by using capital T, right? So if you do capital T, then it's recognized as a Boolean. And that's all I wanted to say. And of course, there's a very important and powerful type here that I wanted to introduce. I'm going to deal with the strings in very much detail in session 4. But for the next couple of sessions, I need to use strings because we communicate in English and we need to use them. We've already used them in some way before, so I'm just recapping here. Strings are a special type. It's the first type that has multiple values inside it, right? Really, integer is a number. It has multiple values, but it's always treated as one number. But the string can have many words in it and many characters in it, right? So it's really a multi-valued thing. It will be time to stop soon, so I'll just wind up with this particular example of strings.
John, I think probably we can go over the type again in the next session.
Yes, definitely.
11:30, so there are some people have to leave, so
yes,
we can cover this.
Yeah. So let me just pause with the strings comment, and then we're done, right? So if you take two strings, you can join them with a plus symbol, and strings are created with a single quote, and that's it. And I've just given a simple example. I want you guys to just run this, and you can play with strings.